Okay, ready for this? Because it's probably the number one topic on this show on YouTube clips when we get to it. So I want to get your perspective because some of us think that the Dodgers are the favorite. Shohei Ohtani, not during the season. The Angels aren't trading him to the Dodgers, but in the off season, the percentage chance that this happens. And I will say, one of our commenters in the YouTube chat right now goes, the knob, he goes, I remember when they were, quote, saving everything for Bryce Harper and then offered him 3 years. So give us the percentage chance because it's going to take more than 3 years to sign Shohei.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Shohei thing is a little bit different, right? I think Shohei, as much as he makes sense on the baseball side, right? You add another ace to Julio Urias, and well, Julio Urias might be gone if they get Shohei Ohtani. Obviously, he's a free agent as well. So you get your immediate replacement for Julio Urias, right? You pair him up with Clayton Kershaw, that we just talked about. He's still really good. You pair him up on the pitching side, and then obviously you pair him up with Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, and Will Smith on the offensive side. But as much sense as it makes on the field, it probably makes even more sense off the field. Obviously, a big Asian population here in Los Angeles. He doesn't really have to move if he doesn't want to. Obviously, he's over there in Anaheim, just 45 minutes away. Um, and just the ownership is gonna love having a guy like Shohei Ohtani wearing a Dodgers uniform. That's just the reality of it. They're gonna have a ton of conversations with the owners, with Mark Walter and his group. Mark Walter, Todd Bowley owns Chelsea. They're very involved with some of these things, and having Shohei Ohtani would be another feather in their cap. So as much sense as it makes on the field, it makes a lot of sense off the field. So whatever it is that they have to do in order to try and get Shohei Ohtani, they're gonna do it this offseason. So if Shohei Ohtani wants 10 years, as much as Andrew Friedman doesn't like doing those 10-year deals, I mean, I think only Mookie Betts has that sort of deal with the team. If that's what he wants, that's going to be on the table. If Shohei Ohtani wants to do 2 years, that's also going to be on the table. So I think it's going to be tailored to whatever Shohei and his his family, his agents want. But I think it'd be foolish for anyone to say that the Dodgers aren't going to be heavily involved for Shohei Ohtani. And they have to be looked at as one of the favorites. He probably wants to stay in the West Coast. I don't know that personally. I don't know Shohei Ohtani, but he had his choice once. He chose the Angels. The Giants are going to be involved. The Padres are going to be involved. And if he wants to go east, there's a couple teams in New York with a pretty big checkbook, especially if the Mets kind of like don't outperform what everyone thought. Cohen's going to be like, all right, now I need to do something even more drastic. Throw out a 700. No, there's nothing off the table with that guy, so I wouldn't be surprised. But I think the Dodgers should be in that mix for as one of the favorites to land Shohei Ohtani.
They asked you for a percentage. What's the percentage?
That was my long way of like dancing around it a little bit.
No, that's not.
I'd probably say, let's see. I would give it a 45-50% chance. I think it's gonna be a coin flip. I mean, like I said, I think it's gonna be one of those things where the Dodgers are gonna do whatever they have to do to try and get him. Now, does that mean that they actually get him? I don't know. There's a lot of things that are gonna come into play with that. There's going to be a lot of money thrown around. There's going to be just a lot of everything for Shohei Ohtani. I think there's going to be a lot of teams are going to, maybe even a surprise team that we don't talk about. And it depends on what he wants. If he comes here as great of a star as he is, he's going to kind of have to share a little bit with, the likes of Mookie Betts, who's going to be here for the next 9 years. Clayton Kershaw is still the face of this franchise, whether he makes 17 million or 30 million. So he's gonna have to somewhat share that. So if he's okay with doing that, it makes perfect sense for him. They're gonna accommodate whatever it is that he wants, pitching every 6 days. That's what the Dodgers like to do. So it makes a lot of sense. So I'll go with 50% just because they should be in the mix. They're gonna be one of the top 4 teams. So I'll put those odds at like plus 125, I guess.
Okay, I like those odds. Do you hear players in the clubhouse talking about that? Like, have you ever heard anybody even mention like, hey, maybe we'll get Shohei next year too?
I think I've definitely heard it, but it's not like hey, do you think we're going to get Shohei Ohtani? I mean, you know how players are. They're pretty focused on this particular season, this particular team. But I think everybody is aware of what's kind of going on, right? Like especially like the Mookie Betts or Freddie Freemans who are going to be here for a while. They actually they will never admit this, but they know what's going on. This is like a guy who, I'm a big basketball fan. I remember when LeBron James was about to be a free agent. Everybody knew that LeBron James was going to be a free agent, and the teams that were going to be in that mix, everybody knew who those teams were. So I think that's kind of what Shohei Ohtani is going to do. I just hope he doesn't do an ESPN special like LeBron James.
Let's not have a decision, okay? Let's not have a decision.
I think it'd be awesome.
It's just so dumb. So dumb. Just pick your team, dude.
No, he's going to come on foul territory.
If you can get him to do that, then I'm all for it.
That'd be good.
Yeah,
that would
be awesome.
I know a little Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Word on the street. He's going to announce it here. I don't know. Just saying.